Come on, man. There's news dropping right now that has completely changed how I look at this season, like totally flipped the script. We are at a critical moment here, decisions that are going to define if we can actually contend or if we're just going to get left behind. There are contract rumors shaking up everyone. We've got some serious movement on the offensive line. There's a killer injury situation that is seriously complicating our playoff race. And then there's a bomb at the end, one that involves free agency and could open the door to something much bigger. 4 stories that will change where we are. And when you see it all together, dude, it changes everything. Let's go. But before I blow this whole thing open, subscribe to the channel. Seriously, strengthen our work. Leave a like so this content reaches more of the Bolt fam, because we're growing because of you guys. And the bigger the family gets, the stronger we are. Now let's get to the news. Dude, look at this. Everyone's talking about signing an offensive lineman for the Chargers, and it makes total sense because our line is absolutely breaking down. But there's a detail no one's seeing clearly. There's a guy on the Bears who could be the answer. Braxton Jones, the Bears left tackle, and seriously, he's being discarded over there. Let me tell you the deal. The Bears put Braxton Jones on injured reserve on October 25th with a knee injury. And when you put a guy on IR mid-season, that usually means one thing. The team wants to cut him loose. It's not that he's bad. Jones was a starter for all 12 games in 2024. He proved he can play at the pro level, but he started this year as a starter and lost his job in week 4 against the Raiders when he got benched mid-second quarter. He only made 4 starts in 2025 and didn't perform as expected. Here's the thing that makes sense for our team. We're broken on the offensive line. Joe Alt returned in week 8 from his ankle sprain on the left side, and Trey Pipkins is there too, but we're still weak on the right side with Bobby Hart having to hold the fort, and Bobby Hart is not a long-term solution. Come on, man. If Herbert is going to last this season and take us deep into the playoffs, we need better protection on the right side. Braxton Jones, even on IR, can be moved. Seriously, there's a precedent, and when you put a guy on IR mid-season and he's eligible for trade, you're signaling that maybe he won't come back to that team. The Bears are in a total rebuild with the new head coach, Ben Johnson, who made his changes on the line. So why not get something in exchange for a guy who's not in the plans anymore and won't help them anyway? Now, the detail that complicates it is that Jones is injured. You're trading for a guy who's not 100%. But here's the kicker. If we believe he comes back strong, and we should because he proved it in 2024, that's a risk that makes sense, especially because the offensive line market is DRI, and it's tough to find a good tackle in November. Look, I might be wrong, but I think our team should call the Bears GM and ask, seriously, what would be the cost? A 3rd-round pick, a 5th-round pick, plus a guy from the roster, whatever. We have cap space and we have assets. And Braxton Jones in 2024 was much better than what we're seeing from Bobby Hart in 2025. So, Bolt fam, do you think we should go after this? Comment below. What's your take? Because there's another piece of news coming that complicates the situation even more. But wait a minute, because this offensive line thing is only half the problem, we're breaking down somewhere else too. And that place hurts more because we're depending on it to win right now. Running back, dude, the Chargers running back room is collapsing, literally collapsing. Look at what happened. We started the season with Najee Harris. Okay, Harris was the guy, but Harris got hurt back in week 3 against the Broncos with a torn Achilles, and that's it. His season's over. He's off the team. Then we had Omarion Hampton, 1st-round draft pick, 1st round. You kidding me? The future of the running back room, who's on injured reserve too with a nasty ankle injury. Hampton got hurt in week 5 against the Commanders and has been out since, can only return in week 10 at the earliest, out again. And now, last Friday, we put Hassan Haskins on IR too. Hassan Haskins was the backup. He was the special teams core. He was the plan B, and even he's out now with a hamstring. Look at the reality. Kimani Vidal is the one carrying all of this. A guy who started the season with no chance of even playing. A guy we put in because we had no other option. And you know what? Vidal is working, man. In 2 of the 3 games he truly started, Vidal was seriously good. In week 6 against Miami, 124 yards and 1 touchdown. In week 8 against Minnesota, 117 yards, 1 touchdown, 23 carries. Seriously, we're looking at a running back that no one expected to be the solution, and he's responding. But here's the problem that deeply worries me. Kimani Vidal is one guy. If Vidal goes down injured, we are screwed. We'll go to the practice squad to bring up Amar Johnson, Jaret Patterson. Those guys were elevated last Friday because there was no one left. And Travion Williams is there too. Those guys are reserve of reserve. We're not talking about contributors. We're talking about guys you put in if you get desperate. Our depth has completely collapsed, and we're one stepping stone away from a total catastrophe in the running back room. Now, there's a good side here, and it's important for you to understand this. Omarion Hampton is coming back. He's a first rounder. He has real talent. Hampton had 66 carries, 314 yards, 2 touchdowns before he got hurt. That's first round impact. When Hampton returns, he and Vidal form a 1-2 punch that can work and can totally change the game. Hampton is the future. Vidal is the present. Together, that changes everything. But then you get to the trade deadline, which is Tuesday, and you think, should we buy another running back? Because if Vidal goes down, we're cooked. I lie awake at night thinking about this. Seriously, it's the dose of reality we don't want but need to face. A team that wants playoffs can't be depending on the practice squad at running back. So, Bull fam, do you think we should rush to the trade deadline and grab another back, or do you believe Vidal will hold on until Hampton returns? Comment below. This discussion is important because there's an even bigger piece of news coming that changes all of this. And now it gets crazy because there's a guy no one is talking about, a guy who could solve this whole offensive line mess, and he's literally on a team that's collapsing. Jackson Powers Johnson from the Raiders, offensive lineman, can play guard or center, versatile, 22 years old, second-round draft pick from 2024. And get this, he made 14 starts as a rookie on a chaotic team like the Raiders with new HC Pete Carroll. Dude, we're talking about a young guy with real experience who can play 2 positions. That is exactly what we need. He's not an all-pro, but he doesn't need to be. He just needs to be competent. And Powers Johnson in 2024 was competent. He only allowed 2 sacks the entire year. Here's the plot twist no one sees coming. The Raiders are 2-5, practically out of the playoffs. And when you're 2-5 in November, you start selling. You start thinking about a rebuild. A second-round guy who's having ups and downs with new coach Pete Carroll, that guy becomes a trade asset because Albert Breer, who covers this better than anyone, reported that Jackson Powers Johnson is receiving interest and has had ups and downs with the new coaching staff. So there's a possibility he'll be moved. The guy is movable. Seriously, the Raiders are not going to die protecting this guy. And here comes the bomb. This would be an in-division trade, Raiders-Chargers, division rival. That's rare in professional football. It doesn't happen every day, but it happens. And when you manage to take a guy from inside the division before your rival, dude, that's a victory. Now, why would the Raiders sell to their biggest rival? Because they need draft capital, because they need to rebuild, and because 2-5 doesn't make the playoffs, so it doesn't matter who we make stronger. They won't be messing with us anyway. The cost here is the magic. Powers Johnson is earning less than $2 million this year, then jumps to $2.3 million in 2026 and $2.7 in 2027. For a guy with that versatility, that's cheap. We can absorb that into the cap, no problem. A third-round pick, a fourth-round pick. We're talking about minimum cost compared to the impact. I'm honest with you. If you're the Chargers GM, you call the Raiders GM and you ask, are you going to sell Powers Johnson? Because this is the chance to change your offensive line with little financial pain and little draft capital pain. Comment below. Do you see Powers Johnson as the solution we're looking for, or is it too risky to bring a direct rival to help? Because there's one more piece of news that will make this whole line and running back conversation look small. And now the bomb drops. The news that changes everything. The news that makes you rethink this entire season. David Njoku, Browns tight end, former first rounder and Pro Bowler, according to Albert Breer, is available. And this is no joke. The Browns are 2-6. They are seriously weak. And when you're going down, you think about selling a tight end who's on his final contract. That guy becomes an asset quickly. But here comes the detail that explodes everything. And Njoku is not on a bad contract, but he's on a complicated contract. This year, it's an $11.4 million cap hit, manageable, but it jumps to 24.3 in 2026, way too heavy. And when you see those numbers, you think, why would the Browns sell? Because they want to cut him loose, because they want to start fresh. Now, here's the gold. Breer said something no one is paying attention to. Njoku doesn't have a no-trade clause, but, and this is important, the Browns are going to let him have a say. The Browns want to do right by him. They're going to let Njoku choose where to go. And you know what team Njoku chooses? The Chargers, dude. Why? Because here's the perfect picture. Justin Herbert, an elite quarterback, Jim Harbaugh, a coach who wins, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, weapons, Oronde Gadsden, too, coming on strong. That's a tight end room that wins championships. And Njoku is 29 years old, still in his window to enjoy, and he's going to look at the scenario and think, am I going to the team that's losing, or am I going to the team that's building something real? The answer is obvious. He's got 27 receptions, 260 yards, 2 touchdowns in 7 games. Functional, not explosive like he was in 2023 when he made the Pro Bowl, but he's functioning. And when you're building a playoff team, a functional Pro Bowler is a huge upgrade. Now the cap hit complicates things. 11.4 this year, but we have space. We can do this. And here comes the magic. The team that acquires Njoku only pays the remaining portion of his base salary in 2025. That's less than $2 million in immediate impact. We can absorb that, no problem. If we can get Njoku now before the Tuesday deadline, you're sending a message to the rest of the league. We're all in. We want to win now. That changes everything. Offensive line improving with Powers Johnson, running back secured with Vidal plus Hampton returning. And now you bring in a tight end who proves he can win a championship, dude. You're building something special. You're building contention. I stay up late thinking about this, seriously, because if we can get these 3 things, line, running back depth, and now Njoku, we're talking about a different team, a team that competes, a team that truly thinks Super Bowl. Comment below. Do you think Njoku is the final piece, or do you think it's too much cap risk because this is the decision that defines if we're in or out at the trade deadline? Bolt fam, we're on the threshold of something huge here. So there it is. Bolt fam, we saw today that there are offensive line solutions coming. Braxton Jones from the Bears is available. There's Trevor Penning and Cesar Ruiz on the Saints. We saw that the running back room collapsed, but Kimani Vidal is holding strong, and Hampton is coming back for strength. We saw that Jackson Powers Johnson is movable from the Raiders, and that's in division. That's a win. And now we see that Njoku can come, and that changes everything. This is not a coincidence. This is building. This is the window. This is the time. Tuesday is the deadline, and we're 1 week away from becoming a complete team. Comment below what you want to see happen. What's the priority line? Running back Njoku, tell us, because this space is ours. It's the Bolt fams. And until the next video, bolt up.